We start off with this common line in the open Sicilian defense. Here we play knight d5. This threatens a fork of the king and rook, so black can't take the free pawn. Instead, he takes our knight, after which we recapture with the pawn. The knight moves out of danger, and we protect our pawn. Here, black may want to kick out our powerful knight. But instead of moving it, we pin the pawn to the rook. Here it looks like black can win material after bishop d7, breaking the pin and skewering the knight to the queen. But unfortunately for black, this smothers the king. We can now play knight takes d6, checkmate. The Englund gambit starts after the following moves. Here we can play queen b4, check. White now has to block with the bishop in order to not lose it. After this, we take on b2, attacking the rook. Our trap is now set. A really natural way for white to defend is by playing bishop c3, defending the rook and attacking the queen. But here we can strike with bishop b4, pinning the bishop to the king. Because white doesn't want to lose his bishop, he may defend with the queen. After we take the bishop, we're attacking the rook again, so to prevent losing it, white takes with the queen. Unfortunately for white, we can end the game here, with queen c2, checkmate. The game starts with the Albin countergambit. One way for white to continue here, is with knight c3. Here we can take on d4, after which the queen captures back. We now attack the queen with knight c6. White can win a pawn here, and does so. Now we continue attacking the queen. As he's just won a pawn, he'll be happy to trade material. After this trade, our trap is set. White follows basic opening principles, and develops his knight. Now we can play knight b4. Here white can try to save his rook by moving it, but that walks into a checkmate. So instead, white tries to create an escape square for his king. But here, we can still give this check, followed by bishop takes c4, checkmate. Hello there. Today I'm going to show you a smothered checkmate trap against the English opening. White starts off the game with c4, after which we take the center with our e-pawn. After this, we go into the four knights variation. White usually goes for the fianchetto here. We waste no time and bring in our knight, gambiting our pawn. After white takes, we attack the knight with our queen, setting a devious trap in the progress. White doesn't see the threat and just brings back the knight. But here we can finish off the game with knight f3, checkmate.
Hello there. Today I'd like to show you a trap in the Queen's Gambit accepted. It goes d4, d5, and after c4, he takes. Now, white has many things to do here, but we'll go for e3, attacking the pawn immediately. Now, black doesn't have to take the pawn, and so he just develops his knight, and we take the pawn. This is all theory to this moment, and a very popular move here is c5. Now, we will just develop our knight here, and this is where our trap begins. Because a lot of people are seeing, okay, with this knight here, I can actually pin it to the queen. Looks good. And he's already fallen for it. We can choose what we do here. One option is to take on f7, because after the king takes, we can perform this check with a fork. So king moves, we take back the bishop, and we just won a pawn, and this king is very weak. And if we go back, what is even more beautiful, and I guess it's a matter of taste, you can go to e5, and by Eric Rosen's law, you have to say, "Oh no, my queen," because then he will take your queen and you will checkmate him. Hello there. Today I'd like to show you a cool trap in the elephant gambit. We'll start with e4, e5, and after they develop their knight, we will play this move, d5, gambiting our e-pawn. Now, they can take the e-pawn or d-pawn. It will transpose in the same line, so it doesn't really matter. So let's say they go for the e-pawn, we bring out our knight, they take our d-pawn as well, and we take it back with the queen. Now, in this position, their knight is attacked. They obviously don't want to lose it, and they don't want to move the same piece twice, basic opening principle. So they go for d4, defending the knight, and the pawn is defended by the queen. Here we will develop our other knight, and this is where the beginning of trouble sets in for white. Now, they can play the move bishop c4 here. It looks like a really good move, because if we move our queen, there on this pawn with either the knight or the bishop, and we obviously have to move our queen because else we're going to lose it. But we can move it by taking on g2, attacking the rook. Now here white will probably think, okay, I can move my rook to safety, but let's just first grab this pawn. We went after it anyway, and the bishop is defended, so it's all good. But here we can just bring our king up, and since the rook is still attacked, they can do two things to defend it. The first is, this looks like a defense, queen f3. But here we can just simply take the queen, and after they take back with the knight, we take the bishop, and we're just up a bishop now. So that doesn't work. What else can they do? They can move the rook to safety, where it's defended by the king. So we'll continue, and we'll try the same thing. So we take the knight, they take our knight, we take their bishop. But the difference here is that they can take our knight now. So it looks like everything's fine for black, equal material, so life's good. But here we actually have a nice move, which is bishop g4. It attacks the queen, and the queen doesn't really have a good square to go. Notice we can also already start bringing in a rook. The other bishop can come in. It looks really dangerous. So the usual response by white is queen d4, keeping an eye on things and just getting the queen out of danger. But here we have a really nice move, which is rook d8. And at first glance, it looks like we just hang the rook. But let's say they take it. We can bring out our bishop with check, ultimately winning the queen. It's actually checkmate, so taking the queen wouldn't even be the best move following this, but yeah, it's completely winning. So that's not something he can really do. So what else can he do? Well, we have another threat. So let's say they move the queen somewhere random, let's say c3. This is checkmate. So moving the queen away leads to checkmate. So what else can they do? Well, the only thing they can do to keep out of trouble is to give a check. We can no longer perform the checkmate because we have to do something about the check. Now, really important here to move your king to g6. We can take the pawn, but then you can keep giving checks, and that's not so good. Now they don't have any checks, so our attack keeps going. Notice we are still threatening this checkmate, so he doesn't have time for any slow moves. So usually they will develop the knight defending that square. And here we have another really nice move, which is bishop b4. Again, it looks like we're hanging a piece. And he kind of has to take it because we're threatening to take the knight and perform this checkmate anyway. So they take the bishop. But now we can bring in our other rook with check. Notice that the king has no moves. Our rooks are and our bishop actually are covering all the squares. So they need to somehow stop this. Now the best move for white actually here is to block with the queen and give up the queen. But no one's going to do that. They don't want to lose the queen, and even if they do, we'll win the game anyway. So they usually block with the bishop. And everything looks good here, right? Everything's defended, and white looks to have a really good position. If it wasn't for this really nice move, and actually the third brilliant move, rook takes e3. Now they have to take back. Notice the king still can't move. I guess they can bring in a knight, but that will be checkmate with the rook, so let's show that. This is checkmate, king can't move anywhere. And they can take the rook. But if they take the rook like this, we have another checkmate, that is queen d2. Hello there, today I've got a really nice trap for you, and I'm gonna go straight into it. So we'll start with e4, e5, and we're gonna play the king's gambit, which is f4. Now this is a really dangerous gambit because this diagonal is very weak, so the queen can come in, but yeah, it's a gambit, so if they wanna be a pawn up, they can by taking. Now again, I said this diagonal is very weak, so what we usually do is we bring the knight out to protect that, so they can bring the queen there, and it's alright. But yeah, black is a pawn up, so they can choose to defend this pawn, but another way to continue is to strike at the center immediately with d5. Now, we can take it obviously, which is one of the main moves, but we're gonna set a little trap, so we're gonna bring our knight out. Now this pawn is under attack, and they are pawn up, they wanna keep it that way. So they're gonna take here. We're gonna take back. And black starts thinking about this diagonal because, yeah, like I said, the main thing is this diagonal being weak. If they can exploit that, we're gonna have a really hard time. So they're gonna pin our knight. Notice the queen is there, so we can't move the knight. And they really want to take that knight because then the square is no longer defended, and they're gonna bring in all the pieces and checkmate us. That's their idea. We're gonna play a really sneaky move here, which is queen e2. And if black knows what he's doing, he's probably thinking, okay, that's a really weird move. What's going on here? Maybe I should think of it. But if he isn't careful, he just thinks, okay, that doesn't stop my idea, right? I want to take the knight, and we capture. This diagonal is really weak. Okay, so they're taking the knight. And now we've got a really nice way to finish it off, which is knight f6, checkmate.
Hello there. Today I'll show you how to win in 7 moves using the Blackburn shilling gambit in the Italian game. The gambit starts as follows. It looks like we've blundered our e-pawn, so white takes it. Here we can bring out our queen, which looks like another blunder. White takes on f7, forking our queen and rook. But we don't care about our rook, as we've got a bigger attack. After we take, white tries to save his rook, realizing our rook is still trapped. Now, we can take on e4 with check. White doesn't want to lose his queen, so blocks with the bishop. This is where we can end the game with knight f3, smother checkmate.
Hello there. Today I want to show you a cool gambit that can actually lead to checkmate. So yeah, let's get straight into it. It starts with e4, after we respond with d5, the Scandinavian defense, and after they take, we usually take with the queen, but this time we're going for the knight. Now, we obviously want to take this with our knight, but the opponent doesn't want to let us, so they defend it with a pawn. Notice if we do this now, we just lose the knight. So now we continue and we try to transpose into the Icelandic defense, which is this, Icelandic gambit I should say. And they usually take, after which we can take back with our bishop. And notice we have developed 2 pieces and their pieces are still in the back rank. So already this is kind of nice for us. But the downside is that he can grab the center. So the pawns are having a lot of control over the center here. But after they do so, we can start applying pressure. So we start with this check. Now they can do a lot of things here. They can lose the queen if they want to. They can move the king, but that's all not really gonna happen. So the main moves are blocking with the bishop or the knight in one of two ways. So let's say they block with the knight. They're like, okay, I'm not afraid of losing my knight, it's just an exchange, and actually that's probably better for white. But we can start applying more pressure. Now this move kind of looks impossible, but it's not. They can take on knight because it's pinned. So yeah, now they're in some trouble. Let's say they don't see the danger, we can already win here. So let's say they are like, well, let's just attack the knight. We can take here, and after the take back, we take with check, picking up the rook on the next move. So they can block with the bishop, and we win an exchange. So that's the best they can do in that situation. And we're up an exchange, so we're winning the game. So that's not what they want to do. So instead, they're like, okay, I need to defend this knight somehow. And they usually play this move. It does defend the knight, so now this doesn't work. Like if we try that, we are just doing a lot of exchanges and that's nothing. But what I forgot is that the queen was defending the pawn and now the queen is blocked. So we can take the pawn. Not only that, we're putting more pressure on the knight, so three pieces are attacking it now. And usually the opponent here falls for yet another trap. They're like, okay, the knight is attacked again, so I need to defend it again. And this looks like a really nice move because it defends the knight and it attacks the queen. What more do you want? But what I failed to realize, our main threat was not really something with the knight, but it is actually checkmate.